I've seen you smiling at me.
Actually, we've been having a lovely
back and forth. Right.
With pen pals.
Yes.
Very good pen pal of mine. My name's Johanna Hayes. I obviously live in Londonderry.
Yes.
And I found it a little bit disingenuous to actually say that we don't have the best health care in the country. I'm actually a trained epidemiologist from a school of public health actually known as Harvard, that actually had to pay for every dime of my education because I was rejected for every single Pell Grant to actually get a degree in public health. And I'm still trying to get my wits about how paying for kids to get a degree in English has anything to do with healthcare in general. But I do find it disingenuous because you do realize that all that information on the CIA website, there is no standardized fashion by which healthcare systems are looked at across the board. I'll give you an example. Infant mortality rate. The United States counts every live birth. Most countries wait 24, 36, 48 hours for that child to survive even before they count that. So you have to say that our healthcare based on those kind of statistics placed on that website is very, very misleading, okay? Second of all, as I was reading through the bill, which I'm sure, and I got through the first 904 pages, 155 instances of the secretary shall establish processes for review, criteria, performance procedures, review committees, guidance, standards, guidelines, performance requirements, all these types of things are validated. 155 instances of things that aren't even established yet, not part of the legislation. How do you put a cost on all that? Those are the numbers that are missing from the CBO report. Mandated health care costs for prevention, which every study comes out, paying more for prevention does not lower costs overall. Amen. Okay? So how did the CBO score this legislation when the legislation is not written yet?
Okay. First of all, the legislation.
And this was sent to me by the veterans. Yay!
The legislation is written. Okay? What you're talking about is that the executive branch now, right, of course, that's how it works. You write a bill, okay? If the bill passes and it goes into law, then the executive branch, and they are in place to work right now, and they will be filling in and writing all of this stuff, and every executive, they are the administrative branch. We're the legislative branch, okay? So that is perfectly natural, and you're right, and we would expect that. We don't do that part. We write the legislation. That's why it's so big, so that we can have the direction for it, okay? Now, you're wrong about preventive care.
I am not.
No. So, but
I do it.
okay. All right. Well, you know, here's what I want to say. Mark, let's not put hands on each other. Please don't touch anybody. Okay? Let's make that rule. Now, Mark Zandi. Everybody know who Mark Zandi is?
No.
Okay. He was McCain's economist. Okay? And he said if he were a member of Congress, he would vote for this bill. So this bill has many similar provisions to what the Republicans wanted in 1993. Actually, this bill, no, I'm sorry, and I will be very happy if you give us your name again to write this to you. Okay, but you have to tell. See, here's.
Peer-reviewed journals, peer-reviewed organizations from departments of public health, from departments of.
Okay, now here's the problem here. Here's the problem. Okay. Here's the problem. All right. The problem is that we're not going to agree standing here. We're just not going to agree. And you can pull out wherever. Well, you are wrong about what I said you were wrong about the. Yes, that the legislation is written. That's what I said was wrong. So let's go back. All right. Let's go back and say that we'll agree to disagree. You send us another letter citing your sources, okay, and we will send you one citing ours, and we can do.
6 specific questions which you have not answered.
Well, here's the other thing. We have more than 80 80,000 letters and phone calls. We have anywhere between 9 and 11 people in that office. And so you can imagine the number. So we tried to write a letter that includes most of it. Now, if you, 6 times, and I don't even know how frequently you have written in what short period of time, but you can imagine there. So you don't want us to go out and hire another 50 people so that everybody gets a handwritten letter with each one. We would like to do that, but it's not possible. It isn't possible. And so if we have missed the target on that, you can write us again. But the reality is that with 80,000 letters and just a couple of people who answer those letters, I'm sure that you can understand why we have to just sort of do a catch-all. So if you have a specific one, we'd be very happy to do that. Okay? Thank you.
Next question from 373513.
My question is...
Oh, no, we're not making anybody say a name. I don't feel like we should do that.
Why is there no cost of living increase for Social Security, but there is a cost of living increase for government employees in Congress? Are you planning to pay for these government programs with the Social Security savings? The money borrowed from Social Security fund is not counted towards the government deficit.
Okay, first of all, no, we're not planning on putting the savings into the government workers. The reason that they didn't have a COLA, Social Security cost of living increase, is because it's based on the CPI, okay? Well, no, it actually stayed flat. But let me tell you that I agree with seniors about this, because I know that even though that was flat, and the way the formula was, there wasn't going to be an increase, I know from my mother and from the work that I did working in aging for so many years, and also, you know, growing up in a family, that the costs for seniors are higher because you're on a fixed income. And so it's a bigger percentage. If gas goes up and you have to pay more, or food goes up and you have to pay more, or your medical care, which has been shooting up, we know, it's more difficult because seniors are the ones who generally tend to use those services more. So I have been working and saying this is not fair, that we have to find another way to help seniors. The first thing they did, as you know, was with a check to try to help. But we need to do more than that, and I agree with you that they have to, and actually there's a bill, and we're on it, that says that they should have a different way. It's a letter that we've sent around and signed on to. Another member of Congress sent it, that there should be another way to figure it out for seniors, because I do think it's not fair. So I agree with you. But there's no savings. I want you to understand there's no savings from not increasing the COLA there. It's not being transferred over to...
There's more money available to the Congress to borrow.
Right.
If you don't give the seniors a raise, a cost of living raise, then there's more money in the bucket to take it and give it to the whatever you decide, and you don't count it as borrowed money.
Oh, I think that you really do understand how that system works, that you've paid into it and that you're receiving a monthly check, okay, and that the cost of living increase was put in because costs really were jumping quite high for a period of time. Now, because it's tied into the CPI, all right, for people who have retired, you know, quite a while ago, that the costs have gone way beyond what they anticipated. And so what do? When they're so high and the CPI reflects that, then we give that increase. When they don't, I mean, it's a formula. And it's always been okay. But this year, when it was flat, but other costs went up for seniors, that's why it's so difficult. It's a circumstance with the increase in prescription drugs, for example, and the increase in medical care, and the increase in gas. I mean, these are specific situations in a difficult time. And so we have to respond to that. I agree. Okay, thank you.